On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of all sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
Harley Davidson started in 1903 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is one of the backbone companies of America. Even saying the name Harley Davidson makes you think of the American flag. It is patriotic. But the unthinkable has happened. They've gotten a woke CEO who's trying to do everything he can to change this company, not for the better, but for their own woke agenda. He's even moving some production to Thailand. American jobs could be lost. I was so disturbed by the news of this that I'm making this video today to prove a point that not everybody's going to bow down to this woke crap. The video you're about to watch is for the good of mankind. Make sure you watch to the end. You will not be disappointed. Harley Davidson. This thing is history, and it just screams America. I used to ride a motorcycle years ago. I've been so busy with my fence company, and I recently bought a Harley because I was going to get into riding again, and then I found out the unthinkable. I mean, literally, a year ago, Ford went woke and put out a video, and I made a video about that, and it made me sick because Ford is also an American company, but now Harley did it too. Ford redeemed themselves, though. They actually bought a Navy SEAL, a Ford Raptor, which is awesome. That's the kind of stuff we need to do. Take care of our veterans, take care of our police department, take care of people that are Americans, not worry about this stupid woke shit. So for all you people that don't know what DEI is, it is the thing that's going to destroy civilization as we know it. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Basically what that means is communism. They're going to put somebody in a position because of their race, gender, not because who's the most qualified for the job. That's crazy. I own a company. If I put people out there that are not qualified just because they fit a certain quota, how are businesses going to be successful? How are you going to do quality work? Everything is going to collapse. It's going to start at the top, work its way down, and it will reach everyone. This will be the destruction of civilization as we know it. So this CEO, this woke piece of shit, he's trying to turn all Harleys electric. That is insane. That's like destroying culture. That's like destroying history. This guy is trying to change things, not for the better, I promise you that. This guy's moral compass is completely just gone. This guy supports men and women's restrooms at Target. He is literally trying to put people in place, leaders that just destroy our society with their whole woke agenda, trying to destroy everything that's normal, that's right, that's Christian. I swear these woke people are run by Satan and they are evil. So this woke CEO has donated millions of dollars, all kinds of woke organizations. He needs to worry about veterans, people who have literally sacrificed for this country. Help them out first. You want to help out some other stuff? That's fine. Give more of your money to where it counts, though. People that actually care, that have helped build America. This is American. This is normal. This is what should be happening. So a lot of people are saying, just ignore it, just forget about it. No, that is wrong. To sit back and do nothing and to be silent and let people just destroy our country and our way of life, this is good versus evil. This woke shit, it's evil, and it is trying to destroy America and civilization as we know it. So today, I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to make a statement for good versus evil, for normality versus wokeism. We are going to show this woke CEO that not every person in this world, not every American, not even close to every American is on board with this woke piece of shit agenda. And I'm going to do this the most American way you could think of, with a big middle finger. We're going to ramble this thing with an M60. That woke piece of shit Harley I bought is now going to be target practice. America! Woke bitches, this is America! That was pretty cool for the first wave, but what's more American than one M60? Two M60s, twins. Twin Rambo. Still not satisfied yet? How about the M134? 50 rounds a second, just destroying. So I've showed you guys American just badassness with Rambo. I've showed you American speed with the M134. Now we're going to show you American power. The Barrett M107, the McMillan Tac 50. These are American 50 BMGs. This is muscle. We're going to show that woke bike what's up with this. So we've hit this thing with M60s, with M134 miniguns, with 50 cal rifles. Now we're going to hit it with everything at once and finish this thing off for good. Now we're about to turn this thing into a woke s'mores bar.
Woke ass Harley, say hello to my little friends.
It is unfortunate we had to do this. This is something I wasn't proud of, but I had to do it. Sometimes we got to stand up for things. Principles and morals have to override something cool to buy. When these woke-ass CEOs like this one try to ruin our society, try to ruin America, we need to stand up for it. Because if you're silent, you're just as guilty. You know who to vote for in 2024. Let's save America again. Yeah.
Y'all know how I like the jackass stuff. Next video is going to be the bloopers of this one. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. Well-fed American is a well-fed biker. This is going to be a good one. I'll have it out in the next week or two. Make sure you hit like, make sure you comment, and make sure you share so the algorithm will push this one out there. Thanks again. And if you just found my channel, make sure you subscribe. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
All right, that was a Columbia War Machine, I should say. And, you know, I can't blame them, not one bit. Can't blame them one bit. You know, seeing what's going on is just, yeah, I don't even know how to put it. Honestly, it's just so many things. I'm trying to get down to the bottom of the feed here to get started with stuff for today. Let's see. We're getting there, though. We're getting there. Found a lot of stuff last night. Found a lot of stuff this morning. And want to kind of go through it all here. Let's see. We're almost there. We're almost there. We go. All right. So, first video of the day. Here we go. Deer stood in front of our house with teary eyes as if it wanted to say something. It left or came back for the second time. I gotta kill the music. We were curious and followed it, and the worst was behind. Turns out that it needs our help to save his father. We had to go back and get a chainsaw, come back that night to rescue the fawn's father. The next surprise came. The deer returned to repay the favor the next morning. I thought only this deer would come back to repay the favor, but no. He brought his whole family. Cool, huh? Yeah. Creatures, you know. Creator made them. We're all connected in one way or another. You know, we're all connected one way or another. We may not realize it, but we are. You know, and when you're connected like that, you begin to realize that there's a lot more to this world than what they tell us. Yeah. Carly Bonet says State Department will release Hunter Biden Freedom of Information Act documents. Ask yourself, why now? Good question. Here we go.
This just coming into us, the State Department says it's releasing documents related to a report that Hunter Biden sought State Department help for Ukrainian company Burisma while his father was vice president. Spokesperson Vedant Patel was asked about this moments ago in a press briefing.
So, look, I will. The department would defer to Mr. Biden's representatives on any questions as it relates to his correspondence. I will say that the documents that you're referring to were released as part of an ongoing Freedom of Information Act request. I would not read into anything into the timing. These FOIA processes are long, robust processes, and they are frankly independent of what else is happening in the world, but I'm happy to check if we've got anything else to offer on the timeline.
So a statement from the State Department also says this: speaking broadly, individuals often seek counsel services and support from the department. The department evaluates these requests on their merits and acts appropriately.
Yeah, I don't think you act too appropriately, to be honest with you. All right, motorcycle runs from cops to get instant karma. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
We need to call police.
No, we're good. We're good.
What are you?
No, but I have them.
Here, give my number. Give my number. I'll pay everything.
No, not that's not the point. Okay, I need to
Wait.
go now.
No, please don't. Please don't. Please.
No,
Please don't.
I have to
Please,
follow the
please,
law.
please don't. Please.
You are the witness.
Please don't. Please. Please don't. Please. Please.
No.
I'm asking you, God forbid. Please don't.
No.
Please don't. Please don't.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. Yeah. You know, it's that old saying, do the crime, do the time. Yeah. This guy would be funny if this weren't true.
And here we have another one. Maybe you should listen to one of her speeches where she wants to promote the middle class. Why do I have to listen to a speech? I've been living it for 3.5 years. We all have. For 3.5 years, she hasn't done anything to promote the middle class. But all of a sudden, because she said it in a speech, you guys are all bought in. She hasn't done anything for us in 3.5 years. And then all of a sudden you seem to think that she's got these great ideas. She never bothered to say anything to anybody. And the people that are like, well, she's the VP, she's not in charge. She never bothered to tell Joey. She never thought to share these great ideas with Joey, who is the president. She's part of this administration. She just figured she'd keep them all a secret until one day she became president. And then she's just going to start pulling these great ideas out of her ass. You want the whole world to be like, hey, guys, don't worry. Help's on the way. Kamala's got the plan. She just hasn't told anybody, but hey, she said it in a speech, so we're all good. Don't worry about it. Are you kidding me? That's reality? Come on now. You guys act like she wrote it on a piece of paper and she hid it all over the White House. And when she gets in and she's president, she's going to go find them like Horcrux.
Yep. Yeah, her great ideas. So I'm not going to go too deep into this article, but man impersonating Secret Service agent spotted checking backpacks at J.D. Vance event in Detroit. So this guy is impersonating. Actually, let's see if there's a video to this. Because I'm curious to know if they ended up arresting him or not. That would be my would be my guess, because of the fact that really no videos on this, huh? So man pictured below is not with the Secret Service yet. He is wearing a Secret Service patch on an armored vest issued by another federal agency while appearing to check a backpack in this photo. Let's see here. All right, I guess we are going to go into it. Susan Crabtree says, exclusive, dangerous Secret Service imposters deception. This man pictured below is not with the Secret Service yet. He is wearing a Secret Service patch on an armored vest issued by another federal agency while appearing to check backpack in this photo. As you can tell from the photo cut line, the individual was working at J.D. Vance event in Michigan, August 7th. The Secret Service was deeply concerned when I brought this to their attention. Agency officials looked into the matter and issued an agency-wide directive guidance against distributing U.S. Secret Service patches to other federal law enforcement officers to wear. Secret Service statement to me, the U.S. Secret Service became aware of a photo where a member of another law enforcement agency is improperly wearing a Secret Service patch. Corrective action has been taken and guidance has been distributed to the workforce regarding the use of agency insignias. I've since discovered that the individual in the photo is a Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent or officer. They mainly specialize in investigating transnational crime and violations of the custom and immigration laws of the United States, HSI, TSA, and other federal law enforcement agencies have historically and are continuing to assist the Secret Service with tasks such as magnetometer screening and other non-discretionary assignments to help ensure the security of presidential, vice presidential candidates, granted U.S. Secret Service protection, the agency told me. That said, no external agencies serve in direct protective or organizational capacities for the U.S. Secret Service. The statement from the Secret Service concluded. She goes on to say, I've also personally witnessed Homeland Security agents clearly marked as such assisting at entry points at Republican National Convention. My sources who discovered this practice don't know who authorized it and whether it was limited to this event in Detroit or if it's more widespread, but described any effort to impersonate a Secret Service agent or officer as incredibly dangerous. There's a massive security risk because of if all someone has to do is make a fake Secret Service patch and throw it on themselves and walk around the site. How are normal Secret Service agents supposed to be able to tell who is who? Asked one source in the Secret Service community. The sources also said non-Secret Service agents are not as highly trained as or on bag searches or other interdiction efforts at entry points of events. And someone gave them authority to enter Secret Service only sites. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Crazy, huh? All right. Moving on. Trump re-equip regarding equipment left in the Taliban. Here we go.
You got a $50 million airplane. You got a $29 million gorgeous helicopter. We had every type of helicopter. Many of them brand new, literally out of the box. $50 million planes. You mean you think it's cheaper to leave it there so they can have it than it is to fill it up with a half a tank of gas and fly it into Pakistan or fly it back to our country? You think, yes, sir, we think it's cheaper, sir. That's when I realized he was a fucking idiot.
I'm sorry.
Yep. He's an idiot. Not Trump. He's talking about Biden. Here we go.
Karine Jean-Pierre does not think it is old, being the only person who is actually having to answer for the vice president's record on key issues, including the clips that you just played. And we also got a sense from White House officials about the way that things might be going as Vice President Harris looks to distance herself from President Biden's economic record.
Axios is now reporting that she is hoping to distance herself from President Biden's unpopularity on the economy. Can you blame her?
Do you know this is the Biden-Harris administration? Are you aware that this is the Biden-Harris administration? And she is indeed the vice president.
But if the president's policies on the economy were working, or if they were popular, wouldn't he still be the candidate?
You literally just had the chair of the CEA here who laid out a pretty robust point by point about the economy and what has happened under the Biden-Harris administration.
President Biden himself today said he thinks his policies are working. He wants the press coverage to reflect that there is going to be a soft landing and there's not going to be a recession. But ultimately, he is on his way out. Harris wants to take over. She just hasn't told us exactly what she plans to do if she wins. We are told to expect that at some point this week, Martha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Z says, for all the people that say Q is fake, can you please explain this post? I'll wait. So this post, 2190. We talked about this before. 2190. Okay, dated 9/17/2018. So there's Trump with his fist up in the air. Q, you were right all along. Emmys, red carpet, keck. Where we go one, we go all. One. All right. Then down at the bottom says Anon's picked up on the carpet bombs for you and you alone. Fight, fight, fight. Q. Sorry, but things just there's no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. Yep. Green Jean Pierre just said Biden was not aware Hunter Biden was soliciting contracts from the U.S. government on behalf of the Ukrainian energy company Burisma. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Green. The New York Times is reporting that Hunter Biden sought help from a U.S. ambassador on behalf of Burisma while he was on the company's board and while Biden was vice president. So what's Biden's reaction to this, and is he concerned about what this looks like to the American public?
So I'll just report what I've said before, is that the president has never done business with his son, and he was not aware of this. And for anything further, I would have to refer you to Hunter Biden's personal representatives. I can't speak beyond that. But again, I've said this before, the president was not in business with his son, and this is the first time, he was not aware of this. And for anything further, you would have to reach out to Biden. Hunter.
Yeah.
Thanks, Green. The New York Times
lying to the American people over and over and over again. She's going to be another one that's never gonna. She's never gonna find a job anywhere. She's not gonna be able to work anywhere to do anything. She's done. She is toast. Yeah, you won't even find her working in a gas station or a Wendy's or a McDonald's or anything like that. Well, most of those places are probably going to go away. So, but you know what I mean. All right. We need to get these judges' names out there. Judge Kohler Connolly sentenced Paulette Harlow, 75, Kingston, Massachusetts, today to 24 months incarceration for praying outside an abortion clinic. After Harlow's begged for mercy, expressing fear that his wife would die alone in prison, the judge taunted that maybe Harlow would make an effort to remain alive because that is a tenet of Harlow's religion. Yeah, there's a cunt for you. Yeah, I said it. 75-year-old woman going to prison for praying. So, yeah, I said it.
So that
I don't particularly care for the word, but you know what? There's a certain point that I can take things. Seriously, there's a certain point where I'll take things. But a 75-year-old woman praying, for the lives of babies, praying for the lives of mothers and the minds of mothers to try and change what their action is about to be. Okay. It tells me that that there is such a mental illness in our judicial system, in our government, and in all of woke society, that has got to be abolished. It's got to be wiped out. There's insane asylums aren't even going to be enough to contain the enormity of of this tomfoolery. It really isn't. People need to just be, I hate to say it, be put down. A good number of them, and we were told 4 to 6% we're going to lose no matter what. But crazy. Yeah, it's Garrett. I'll be covering that. All right. Need the Dilly song, you're a cunt. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard that one. Dang it. Yeah, Dilly's live right now too. I look at this 25 viewers over there, and he's got 6,300. Well, it's just life. All right, flashback. Michigan auto workers blast the United Auto Workers for endorsing Kamala.
To endorse Kamala Harris is sheer lunacy. How can you not endorse the guy who ripped up NAFTA and rewrote the trade agreement so that it was to the advantage of American workers?
Brian Panebecker started the group Auto Workers for Trump in 2017 and says the group has only grown, attracting thousands of workers like Chris Vitale, a UAW member for 30 years who once voted for Obama.
These are the choices we have, and I'll damn sure take a guy that's built things and has stuck up and defended for the American worker over a San Francisco prosecutor.
Yep. All right. Can you imagine if we actually had an honest media?
After Kamala copied Trump's no tax on tips policy, check out how CBS News reported the exact same proposal from two different candidates. Let me see if you can spot a difference here. Vice President Kamala Harris is rolling out a new policy position saying she'll fight to end taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers. Juxtaposed with the way they covered it when Trump said the same exact thing, former President Donald Trump's vow to stop taxing tips would cost the federal government up to $250 billion over 10 years, according to a nonpartisan watchdog group. It's horrible when Donald Trump proposes it, and yet when copycat Kamala does, it's the best thing we've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
I'm just trying to understand the double standard. When Trump asked for a peaceful protest, but Tim Walz allows his state to riot, burn, and loot the city down for 14 days, 19 people die, and Kamala Harris turns around and bails them all out, it's okay?
Mm-hmm. People are fed up. They're fed up. They're fed up. All right. Echo X.
This is the most recent secret image from the USDebtClock.org. Today's date is August 13th, 2024. And the image that we have here from the Greek mythologist Atlas. And it looked like that he is on the struggle bus holding up the world. And you can tell by the image that he is just shaking. If you notice that each one of these real world assets are aligned on each side of the globe. And it looks like it's coming together and it's about to explode because there is a X in the middle of it. In a world of debt, a revolution begins.
Why was Atlas, a mighty titan condemned to hold up the sky for eternity? What did he do to receive such a weighty and everlasting punishment? Atlas's fate to hold up the sky is a story of defiance and consequence in Greek mythology. As a leader among the Titans, he joined in the cosmic revolt against the Olympian gods, a 10-year battle known as the Titanomachy. The Olympians, led by Zeus, were the next generation of divine beings, and the war was a fierce contest for control of the universe. When the Titans were defeated, Zeus assigned punishments to each. Atlas, because of his role in the war, was given a unique punishment to bear the celestial heavens on his shoulders. This task was not only a penalty, but also a critical function in the Greek mythological cosmos, preventing the reunion of earth and sky, which the ancient Greeks believed would result in chaos. Atlas's endless endeavor embodies the themes of endurance and the eternal consequences of rebellion. However, Atlas's suffering was ended when Perseus killed him. This act released Atlas from his burden, transforming him into a mountain range that continues to bear his name, symbolizing the end of his eternal punishment and the heavy weight he carried.
This image of Atlas comes from the book Breaking Together, a Freedom-Loving Response to Collapse. Inside the novel, Jim Bendel addresses the inevitable collapse of modern society and explores how individuals can navigate the challenging reality. Bendel, known for his work in sustainability, argues that societal collapse is already on its way and will profoundly disrupt lives by the end of this decade. The book emphasizes that the collapse is not an isolated event, but a process driven by deep systematic issues such as economic expansion and monetary systems that harm both people and the environment. Bendel challenges the mainstream environmental movement narrative that humans are inherently destructive, instead advocating for a decentralized approach to living that embraces freedom, creativity, and community resilience. Bendel introduces a unique concept known as equal libertarianism, a form of progressive politics that upholds freedom and fairness as societal structures break down. He also calls for a political response that resists authoritarianism and elite control, urging people to build resilient communities that meet their needs independently of state or corporate systems. Rather than offering false hope, Bendel encourages readers to accept the reality of collapse and find new ways to live meaningfully. His perspective is both a critique of existing systems and a call to action for those who want to reduce harm and live more freely in a collapsing world. If you want to save some of the world but hate being told what to do, this book is for you. And here is the table of context. I don't know if you all ever noticed this on the usdebtclock.org website, but that is Atlas right there, and he is holding up the Capitol. Is it coincidental that a new era of stablecoins is about to be released? Ripple RLUSD. You will be able to send RLUSD in real time with minimal fees and no bank account required. Basically, being able to transact in a decentralized environment. And that RLUSD is going to be backed by treasury bills that are on the XRP ledger with real world assets backing those T-bills. You know, as things start to take fruition and everything we've talked about for the past year, and me telling you all that XRP was always the one, it feels damn good. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Shout out to the master decoder Doug as he points out, a revolution has begun. XRP Ripple, the World Bank Atlas method. It's a no good debt slavery system, too slow, unstable, it has theft, fraud, and it's a monopoly system. So there are different ways to run this gematria, but what I ended up doing was just running in a world of debt revolution because that actually stuck out to me the most. Calculate. Coming down from God out of heaven. Who killed Kennedy? The driver? CIA? 33-degree Freemason? Donald Trump digital trading card? Click here for full Matrix access. No way, yo. I'm trying to get out of the Matrix. The only one that could save Earth. Something special coming soon. I am not who you think I am. Light will overcome darkness. It always does. What goes around comes around. You are a biblical miracle unfolding. Gematria, how can I save the world? Become one with the Creator. It's as simple as that. Name of Creator in the book of Genesis. Boom, en route tomorrow. And boom, it is happening already. As a shakeup over at Edmund D. Rothschild has quietly removed its private banking CEO. And also a XRP futures contract was filed under the CFTC with the intended starting trading date started today. Now, I'm not trying to spread hopium, but let's be realistic here for a little bit because a lot of people were very negative towards Ripple and XRP and all of the ISO 222 compliant cryptocurrencies that's going to actually help pave the way for the new monetary system. And we're going to be able to tap into all of this right here. Society is changing right before your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Are you going to be part of the revolution? Because it already begun. This is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's go.
All right. Quick. Yep. All right, moving on. Nick Sortor says breaking hackers may have stolen the Social Security numbers of every single American, as well as other sensitive documents, totaling around 2.9 billion records, per the LA Times. The Biden-Harris regime is totally incompetent, run by stupid people. This should never happen again. Well, they already got our info. So, all right, here's a little Sir Oliver for us. When dots connect. Here we go.
Okay, so I've been messing around with this cream post from Entheos.
How's the volume? Is volume good for him?
The same day of the interview with Donald Trump, President Trump, and Elon Musk, where Entheos posted this picture here. It says, through the looking glass, White Rabbit, the clock, it's time as president. And with the letters or the word or the acronym CREAM. Right? This was at 10:36 a.m. CREAM, in military term, stands for Combat Readiness Evaluation and Assessment Method. And what it is it's a method used to evaluate and assess the readiness of military units for combat operations. It involves examining various factors such as equipment, personnel, training, and overall preparedness to ensure that a unit is capable of performing its mission effectively. And that was at 10:36. Now, when you go to drop 10:36 on the board, it's a YouTube link. Right? Now, keep in mind, this is 2018. Now, I don't know if this link was there on April 2018, April 6, 2018. So, 0 minute marker. Again, I don't know and I can't confirm. I don't recall seeing this video anywhere on the board. With that said, that leads to this video here. Okay, I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's The Great Awakening, right, by Nikki Willis. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch it. I began watching it yesterday. I said I was going to finish watching it today, and I have seen it, but it's good to refresh our memory, correct? So yeah, I found that kind of strange that that link from 2018 took you to that video, which was aired in 2023, right? How did they know? Unless it was changed. And I've seen timestamps change on Twitter specifically, and Truth as well. So that was 10:36 a.m. This was before the first post of Donald Trump for that day, which came about an hour later. Right? I didn't add it to this graphic here. You guys can go check. All right. So with that in mind, Donald Trump had posted a series of posts leading up to the interview. And after the interview, he posted, this here. When you hold the space, you can share the space. It shows you how many tuned in, how long the space was, and there's a timestamp. So that timestamp was 7:47. It's a mirror. Right? Military is 19:47. The duration of the interview was 3 hours and 26 seconds. Mirrored 6:23. Right? 27 million people tuned in. Mirrored 72. So let's start with the timestamp. Right? So 7:47 reads, if I can get there. Okay. Oh, geez. All right. So 7:47 reads, what does a flower represent? What does deflower represent? All right. Now, I made the connection here to Epstein because it was alleged that he had a ranch in New Mexico, I believe, where this actually occurred, where they had slaves, and most of them, or a big portion of them, were virgins or flowers. And he personally deflowered most of them. his intention was to create his own race of beings, with him being the father to all children, allegedly. So, with that said, Donald Trump on the Friday prior, which by the way, I did a decode on that as well because I had a feeling that his emergency landing wasn't really an emergency. And I had not known, in fact, I don't think anyone knew until at least later that night. Not even, let me correct that, because this is the first article that I found in regards to what happened. And this is dated August 12th, 2020. I don't know why this is, I can't move this around. This is dated August 12th, 2329, which I found strange that they would use military time. But that's the earliest article that I could find on Donald Trump's emergency landing. And as it turns out, he flew on one of Jeffrey Epstein's, previously owned jets. So of course I matched that timestamp to the board, and it's to two links, right, from the Hill. One link is this one here, right, where Hillary Clinton advises Pompeo to stop the purge at the State Department. Okay, now this occurred at 4:03 p.m. on April 11, 2018. Right, she's pretty much warning Pompeo, to stop the investigation. Funny thing is, within a matter of hours, 2 hours to be exact, the Hill posted another link. Let me get out of here and go here. Right, and this was at a little more than 2 hours later. Right, they got him for failing to disclose ownership of business connected to China. So after Hillary pretty much warned him to stop the purge, a couple of hours later, and mind you, he was being considered for the director of the CIA, position for director of the CIA at the time. So I found that connection there to be very relevant. And at the bottom of this drop says down she goes. So one can speculate as to whether or not she was then taken out, because clearly you can see that there was a connection there. She gets involved in telling Pompeo to stop the purge, and then a couple hours later they come after Pompeo. So I don't know. I'm just connecting some dots and sharing with you guys. So going back to that post from Donald Trump here, we went over the timestamp, right? 7:47 timestamp. Now the military timestamp is also very relevant. Did I not add that? Yes, I did. Right here. That drop reads, defend Google at all costs. I'll give you a bunch of links here. You guys can look it up yourself. But I added, who recently died from Google? Right? Google to be regulated. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, question mark. These people are stupid. Censorship with no consequence is a trap. Open the door and we shall always walk through and take control. This is what I was saying when I heard that Elon and President Trump was going to have an interview on X, my first thought was, if they're successful, then it's a good way to gauge how powerful the deep state truly is, right? If the deep state had any real power left, they would not have allowed that interview to take place. And so for me, it was a test. Elon and Donald Trump and whoever's working with them put out a test to see if, for instance, a technology like Keyhole, which we know is pretty much, Google Earth to be exact, if they would use that to try to locate Trump and or Elon and to try to put a stop to the interview. And according to Elon, they tried, right? They tried, but they weren't successful. Now, if you heard the interview, if you were there, you experienced the several crashes real time. But then finally, they came on at the 54-minute and 10-second mark. And I have it here recorded. You can see 54, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He opens his mouth. So he opened his mic at 54:10 and began speaking. And he tells us about how they were being hacked. Okay. Now, if you mirror that, we're going to stay with the mirror theme. You mirror that, 54:10 is 0145 or 145. When you go to drop 145, I can remember where I put it. There it is. That drop literally says, warning, this is not a game. Direct attack today by the New York Times clowns in America. Do you believe in coincidences? How many coincidences do you need before you believe? This is the biggest insider drop in the history of the world. Pray. Now, for me, that's an indication that they were in fact attacked, but because they weren't successful in the attack, they're not as powerful as most people believe, in my opinion. And at the same time, it could have been a sting operation performed by President Trump and Elon, along with SpaceX, Space Force, and Starlink, utilizing Starlink. And I say that because earlier that day at 6:37 a.m., at 6:37 a.m., everything moved around. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Come on. What's going on? I remember I have a microphone attached to my laptop that records everything I say. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, at 6:37 a.m. that same day, SpaceX launched 23 Starlink satellites, right? Low Earth orbit. It's low Earth orbit. It was the 17th flight of its kind. Right? So same day, 6:37, 23 satellites, 17th flight. Okay. So let's go to drop 6:37. Check this out. Now, if that's not a message to the deep state or whatever's left of them, then I don't know what is. You know, to me, that's pretty clear. The fact that they came directly from SpaceX, which we know is affiliated with Space Force, on the day of the interview, I believe that they sent out those satellites to detect any potential interference with the interview from bad actors. That's my opinion. It all makes sense. The timestamps connect. So you guys can come to your own conclusions. I'm just putting this out there to share with you for you to decide. Now, I mentioned that the duration of the interview was 3 hours and 26 minutes. In drop 326, says false flags, POTUS 100% insulated, expect fireworks, justice. So, did they catch him? Was this a military sting operation? And if it was, did they catch them? Did they just catch them recently in the last few days, or did they catch them a long time ago? We've heard, the phrase, we got it all, or we have it all, many times. Did they really have it all? Or did they trick the deep state into believing that they had it all so they could then panic and scramble and communicate with each other and start, their plan to counter, which this has all been moves and counter moves, right? So, again, something to ponder. You mirror that 326 to 623, and that drop says Twitter percentage owned, other ownership stakes in the US. What happens if seized? Who controls? Who controls the controllers? Executive Order 1221. That is Executive Order 13818, blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. That goes back to my Epstein connection with the plane, which to me was a big fuck you to the deep state and all the pedos out there when Trump switched and got on that plane. That wasn't by accident. All right. I told you the timestamp, 747 mentions flower and deflower. That's, flowers, virgins, deflowers to de-virginize the virgin. That's what Epstein was doing, pretty much. So, yeah, new puppet master, direction, not deal, hostage, no choice, think others, it's what you don't know. So we can continue to speculate for years and years and years on end. I don't think we're ever going to truly know the full scope of this operation, right? But these drops help us to connect dots. The news unlocks the map. Timestamps are important. Dates are important. Mirrors are important. Double meanings exist. Misspellings. All of that you have to take into consideration. So yeah, there's that connection there. Then you have the 27 million tuned in, right? Drop 27 literally says pretty much what I just said. Not everything can be publicly disclosed because so much ties back to foreign heads of state. Much will be revealed. We want transparency, but not at a cost we can't recover from. Okay, very important. And when you mirror that, 27 to 72, you get this. And Anon saying, wait, right? Go back to the post about the families that run everything and Trump taking one out. Was one of them the Saudi family? Seriously, because that makes this a happening I remember the phrasing not making sense. I was like, oh, does he mean that Donald Trump took out the Clintons? But the Clintons were on the list as remaining, so I didn't know who was taken out. And Q responds, very smart, Anon. Disinformation is real. Distractions are necessary. Saudi Arabia is the primary. U.S. is a secondary. Asia, EU, Alice in Wonderland. So I think, again, this is a reminder to the deep state. You know, they fucked around and found out. You know, they pretty much showed the world, they being the White Hats, military, intel, under Trump's administration. They pretty much, you know, let them know who's in charge and what can be done easily if they truly wanted to erase them off the face of the earth. But they didn't, you know, as long as we know, they didn't. Maybe some were taken out, others were left behind to partake in this operation, or to make it seem as if everything is, you know, moving along as planned, and they're actually working for the good guys. Who knows? This is just me talking. But I felt it was important to put this graphic together. I felt they all connected, and then some. There's more, but I didn't want to make it too big. I wanted to keep it a little simple so everyone could follow along. But there was one more that I missed. I mentioned that Elon opened his mic at the 54-minute and 10-second mark. When you mirror that, it's dropped 145. Right? I went over this, but I didn't talk about the link. And the link was to an article from the New York Times. And we've all seen this many times, but this article mentions the Q group. Right? Security breach and spilled secrets have shaken the NSA to its core. This article literally mentions the Q. So there you have that. Folks, this is not for those who've been following along for the last 5 to 7 years and beyond. This is primarily for the new guys who have just discovered a lot of this information and are trying to follow along. I'm trying to help them, you know, understand things a little better. This is my perspective. I connect dots where I see them, and that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to leave comments, give me your thoughts. Let me know what your theories are.
So that was Sir Oliver with a little breakdown there as some things that he found. All right, Mexicans for Trump. Let's take a listen.
Bro, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm a Mexican who supports Trump, man. And for all you other guys who don't say he's a racist and stuff, all you guys are looking at the wrong reasons to hate this guy. You guys are voting for the president of America, not the president of Mexico, not the president of Europe, the president of America. He's looking out for the Americans. If you're not American, then I understand why you feel that way. But let's look at the obvious, guys. We need that guy in office. Things were way better, way cheaper. I'm over here fucking stressing, working 70 hours a week, and still can't afford shit.
Well,
bro, I'm just gonna put this out there.
I would ask him how he really feels, you know. But all right, concerned citizen says Ireland. If it looks like they're building military bases, and if it looks like they're importing an army, it's probably because they're building military bases and importing an army. I guess. Yeah. Yeah. It's a real shame, too. You know. Yep. The whole world needs to understand what is happening in Ireland right now before it's too late. That's Dublin. Yep. All right. Robbie Starbuck on that opening piece that I played today.
Y'all are going to want to see this, okay? These legends at Columbia War Machine, that's their YouTube channel, they decided, you know what? They'd had enough of Harley's wokeness. They saw our campaign exposing how woke their CEO is and the direction the company's going, and they did the most American thing possible. Check this out.
Making this video today to prove a point that not everybody's going to bow down to this woke crap.
Oh, that's not all. Did you think one gun was enough? Check this out.
2 M60s, twins! Twin Rambo!
Even after 2 guns, they were not done yet.
Still not satisfied yet? How about the M134?
I'm betting you've realized by now, there's more.
They're American 50 BMGs. This is muscle. We're going to show that woke bike what's up with this.
And like any good fireworks show, there is a grand finale.
We've hit this thing with M60s, with M134 miniguns, with 50 cal rifles. Now we're going to hit it with everything at once and finish this thing off for good.
Woke ass Harley, say hello to my little friends.
It is unfortunate we had to do this. This is something I wasn't proud of, but I had to do it. Sometimes we got to stand up for things. Principles and morals have to override something cool to buy. When these woke ass CEOs like this one try to ruin our society, try to ruin America, we need to stand up for it. Because if you're silent, you're just as guilty. You know who to vote for in 2024. Let's save America again.
If you've had enough of these woke CEOs trying to destroy corporate America and inject leftism into everything around us, then it's time to take a stand. Use your voice, speak up, write to Harley, call Harley, tell them that wokeness does not belong in one of the greatest American brands that there has ever been. It's time for them to choose which direction they're going to go in the future. Are they going to be woke, or are they going to go back to their roots? Because going back to their roots means firing the CEO.
Yep. That's just the first step. Yep. All right, happening now. Pro-Palestine protesters gather outside Kamala Harris campaign event in Harlem, New York City.
Sorry, guys, continue. Thank you.
Yeah, that's enough of that. All right. Full interview. JD Vance. Here we go.
See you. When you look back on this, I mean, they destroyed Biden's career. They pushed him out of the race. They used the media to whip up the propaganda to try to demoralize Trump supporters. And at the end of all this, Senator, your campaign is up 1 point nationally in the Fox News poll that was just released. Pew has you down by 1 point. But what does this tell you about all the good vibes of the Harris-Walz ticket tonight?
Well, I think it's good vibes generated by the media, Laura, but nobody actually believes it because everybody can look at their checking account. Everybody can look at the price of groceries, the price of rent, and they recognize that Kamala Harris's policies, certainly on the economy, but on the border as well, have completely failed. And the American people are actually smart, and the media and the Democrats give them no credit for this, but they think that they can somehow run a campaign purely on vibes. Kamala Harris says in her rallies, Laura, that she's going to reduce inflation starting on day one. Well, day one, Laura, was 3.5 years ago. Her policies are what caused the inflation crisis. And the American people, I think, are just too smart to buy this garbage. It's why we continue to win this race. And look, we're going to run through the finish line, Laura. We're going to need every single vote that we can get. But I'm as confident today as when I joined the ticket that we're going to win this race.
Now, Senator, tonight, Walz agreed to a vice presidential debate on CBS, and he wrote on X, "See you on October 1st, JD." Senator, are you in?
Look, Laura, we're certainly going to debate Tim Walz. We just heard about this thing 3 hours ago, so we're going to talk to them and figure out when we can debate. I actually think we should do more than one debate, so hopefully we're going to see him on October 1st, but hopefully we're going to see him either before or after that, because I think it's important for the American people to actually see us discuss our views. If you look at the way that we've run this campaign, Laura, Donald Trump and I are giving every media interview. We're talking to every audience that we can get in front of because our vision is so clear. We don't think that Americans who work hard and play by the rules should struggle to afford groceries. We don't think our children should be killed by fentanyl, and we have a vision for how to implement public policies that are going to secure that border, cut down on the drugs, and bring the costs of everything from groceries to housing down to reasonable levels. Because we have that vision, we're going to go anywhere and talk to anybody. It's a shame that the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz campaign seems to run, not just from the media, but from voters. And I think that, again, the American people will see right through it.
Well, Senator, is there any doubt that you will not be there on October 1st to debate Walz?
Look, Laura, we want to actually look at the debates, look at the moderators, talk about the rules a little bit. CBS reached out to us about this literally 3 hours ago. I was landing from a rally and a press conference in Michigan. I strongly suspect we're going to be there on October the 1st, but we're not going to do one of these fake debates, Laura, where they don't actually have an audience there, where they don't actually set the parameters in the right way, where we can have a good exchange of ideas. In other words, we're not going to walk into a fake news media garbage debate. We're going to do a real debate, and if CBS agrees to it, then certainly we'll do it.
What's it like to work with President Trump? Because we're hearing from all the usual suspects that he's in a bad mood, he's snapping at everyone, he's this and that. But tonight, I want to give you the chance to just tell everyone, now that you've had some time to work with President Trump, what's it been like?
You know, it's so weird, Laura, to hear the media reports and to see what they say about him and then talk to him every day, sometimes multiple times per day. He's in a great mood. I mean, he just got shot a month ago, of course, and you wouldn't know it seeing or talking to the guy. But I think he feels extremely confident about how we're doing in the election. I think he's very excited about getting to work and solving the problems for the American people. But he's just having a good time. He's laughing. He's telling jokes. He calls people and just wants to, shoot the breeze and understand what's happening in the country because he knows that's an important part of becoming a good leader and doing a good job for the American people. He's in a great mindset, and it's such a dishonest piece of garbage that the media says that he's somehow frustrated or upset. He knows he's going to win this race, Laura, but most importantly, he knows he's going to be able to be a very good president for the American people one more time.
Now, this story about the manipulation of headlines via Google from the Harris campaign, People say, well, it's technically not disallowed. There's no real problem with it. I mean, it's been done before, but it's injecting pro-Harris spin into a lot of these ads. Senator, I think it seems like an effort to obviously help her. They're obviously worried about their internal polls. That's obvious to me. It's a sign of, to me, not strength, but real desperation on their part that this is what they have to do.
Well, that's exactly right, Laura. And by the way, I talked to a number of people behind the scenes in fundamentally unfair game, but we also know that we're doing this for the American people. So they're going to throw everything at us. We're not going to complain about it. We're going to plow ahead, do our job, and remind people Donald J. Trump delivered peace across the world. He delivered prosperity and rising wages here at home. Give him another chance. He's going to do the exact same thing one more time.
Now, Team Kamala, Senator, is still refusing to commit her to doing any press conferences. Check this out.
Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
Listen, the vice president and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country. She said last week, we're going to be having a sit-down interview here before the end of the month.
Senator, that's weeks away. Weeks away.
Look, Laura, if she can't face a media that's fundamentally biased and friendly to her, how is she ever going to sit in a room with Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or any of the world leaders that you have to deal with as United States president? I think it's very revealing, Laura, of her character, that she's terrified of the media. She's terrified of taking tough questions. And people say, Laura, you know, the critics say, well, it's because she's not that smart. And I actually disagree with that. I think it's because she knows that if her real views come out, the American people are never going to support a dangerous radical who opened the American southern border. And they don't want somebody who, as a prosecutor, did to San Francisco. They don't want that to happen to the entire country. So I think Kamala Harris is hiding from the media because she's hiding the truth from the American people that she is a San Francisco radical. And if we give her a promotion to president of the United States, she'll just take the policies that turn San Francisco into a disaster nationwide. We're not going to let her. And as much as she hides from the media, she cannot hide from the American people on Election Day.
Senator, I want you to respond to this Axios piece that, again, I think bespoke real concern on the part of the Harris campaign about her radical views in the Biden record, that they're going to pivot away from Biden's record in key aspects and also these old positions, 4 years ago, positions she had when she ran for president. What does this tell you? And is this going to work, the big pivot?
Well, it tells you, Laura, that they have actually ran the poll numbers and they know that this is a complete disaster. The American people don't want to ban fracking. Kamala Harris endorsed that. They don't want to bankrupt Medicare by giving it to illegal immigrants. Kamala Harris endorsed that. They don't want to eliminate private insurance or have an open border. Kamala Harris endorsed all these things and campaigned for them aggressively. They know that if the American people see their candidate, she's going to lose, Laura. So it's our job to remind people again of the contrast, that Kamala Harris was a disaster. Donald Trump delivered peace and prosperity. As much as they try to hide her away and run her out of a basement, the American people are smart. They're going to know the truth, and they're going to not reward Kamala Harris when it comes to the election in November.
JD, one of my Senator, excuse me, I still call you JD. Senator, one of my dear friends tonight said to me, well, all these suburban women, all they care about is abortion, and they don't understand that decision is with the states now. It's not banned nationally, even if some people want it to be banned nationally. It's with the states. What do you say to suburban women out there who are marinating in this propaganda?
Well, first of all, I don't buy that, Laura. I think most suburban women care about the normal things that most Americans care about, right? They care about inflation. They care about the price of groceries. They care about public safety in the streets where their kids play. Look, as Donald Trump has said, he wants the American people at the state level to decide abortion policy. And you compare that to the Democrats who want to do nationalized, taxpayer-funded abortion up to the moment of birth. I think Donald Trump is actually trying to identify the reasonable compromise where he lets California figure out its abortion policy, Alabama and Ohio figure out their abortion policy. That is actually the common sense approach, and it's the approach that's most respectful of the American people. The Democrats are obsessed with late-term abortion and making sure taxpayers fund it. Obviously, Republicans disagree with that, but I think that Donald Trump has charted a very reasonable course for the American people. Let the American people decide this. The federal government, we're going to focus on securing that border and bringing down the cost of groceries and housing.
Now, you went to Yale Law School. You know how to make an argument. You got a 1-minute pitch in a break room. You're a worker somewhere. You like Trump and Vance. And you got someone in California, someone from Massachusetts, and they're like, I don't like these guys. What's a 1-minute pitch to those people who are kind of independent but still somewhat skeptical?
Yeah, Laura, I think the 1-minute pitch is, first of all, don't believe the media lies about Donald Trump. Believe your own remembrance of the record and believe what actually happened when Donald Trump was president. We're not running in a vacuum here, Laura. This is not just campaign promises. This is about a proven record of leadership that Donald J. Trump delivered on. We had the fastest rising wages in the country in 40 years. We had a world that was at relative peace and calm. We had manufacturing that was coming back into our country as opposed to leaving our country. And we had an energy policy that both punished the bad guys overseas, but also rewarded American energy workers right here at home. Donald Trump's policies worked, and if you give him an opportunity to do it again, he's going to do even better the second time around. I think that pitch is what we have to take to the American people. Your life was better when Donald J. Trump was president. Give him another chance, and he'll deliver it again.
Senator Vance, it's great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, just a short little interview there, right? Yeah, not a number. Says this is absolutely mind-blowing. What else aren't they telling us?
Between the late 1800s and 1929, there were a number of breakthroughs that ended up being suppressed that had to do with creating very high voltage VHV systems so that you could create a vector into what's now been called the zero-point energy field. When Nikola Tesla died, this information that he had, which allowed for a car to run out of the ambient energy, was in documents confiscated by the FBI. And I have a Department of Defense document demanding that the FBI turn these over to the DOD. The FBI refused. By 1928 and 29, T. Townsend Brown, as well as the Kolosky-Frost experiment in physics in Germany, had determined that VHV, very high voltage systems, done in a certain resonant field could result in so-called electromagnetic-gravitic effect, the lifter effect that has been described, which you see in UFOs. They also can create what's called a space-time bubble around an object so that you can correct for 1G. This is how these objects are traveling at multiples of what any aerodynamic physics would describe, and can make right-hand turns without killing the occupants. Around this same time, there was, in the 1940s and the late 1930s, a number of UFO sightings. This included the so-called Foo Fighters. Yes, it's a famous rock group. However, the Foo Fighters took their name from the reports of these objects seen in the theater of World War II that were flying around our aircraft. We thought it was a secret weapon of the Nazis. The Nazis thought it was a secret weapon of ours. There was Jimmy Doolittle, the famous general. His nephew is a dear friend of mine, and he has testified that General Doolittle was sent by FDR over to the European theater in World War II, investigated the Foo Fighters, and came back and told Roosevelt, and I quote, "They are interplanetary vehicles." So by then, there began a classified program, and which was augmented further by events, as mentioned, in 1941, and then, of course, the famous Roswell event. Those events led to, as Philip Corso describes, a reverse engineering program. As you all know from the famous Wilbur Smith document of 1951 from Canada, it talks about that flying saucers exist, but there's a high-level team headed up by Dr. Vannevar Bush that is studying the, quote, modus operandi of these vehicles. In October of 1954, a key date I want the committee to remember, we have actionable intelligence from someone who has worked in the National Security Agency, and it's been in the vault. All of this went deep black because they figured out at that point gravity control. So since 1954, October of that year, we have not needed rockets, jets, internal combustion engines, and surface roadways between cities. I say this with authority that this is the case. Eventually, these breakthroughs in human discovery were complemented by the study of the extraterrestrial material that were retrieved from these events. And contrary to most people's thoughts, the Roswell event was actually a downing of an extraterrestrial vehicle by an electromagnetic system that was hidden in a radar dome that was switched on. And this is in an FBI document that I can provide for the committee and is on the flash drive given to the Congress. The result ultimately was that there were trans-dimensional physics that began to be studied that deal with the nexus between electromagnetism, energy generation, anti-gravity, and consciousness. And we have discovered that there is a nexus and that, in fact, there are electromagnetic systems that have been developed that can interface directly with what we call coherent thought, the same way that you can interface with a system with lasers, which is coherent light, where you sync up all the wavelengths. Ultimately, these breakthroughs were paralleled with amazing developments in the biological sciences and the experimentation with cloning. And this began many years earlier than was reported from Dolly the sheep in Scotland. This goes a little beyond, I think, what this committee wants to look into. However, you need to understand that the technologies that we have and we were discussing are not theoretical. We have actionable intelligence that any committee in Congress or executive action can find regarding current operations. And I just want to go through a list of them very quickly of these facilities and corporations for which we have witnesses who can be subpoenaed by the committees of the Congress. This was developed at the request of Congressman Christopher Cox of Orange County, and with whom I met, and was later further developed for the briefing that we put together for President Obama. These facilities are the Edwards Air Force Base and subsections where on at the dry lake bed where the Lockheed Skunk Works operations, Haystack Butte, China Lakes, George Air Force Base, and the closed Norton Air Force Base, where an anti-gravity device, so-called alien reproduction vehicle, for which we have the schematics, was seen by Frank Carlucci and others on our witness team. Tabletop Mountain and Blackjack Control. The aerospace facilities there are the Northrop Anthill Facility, Tejon Ranch, the McDonnell Douglas Llano Plant, Lockheed Martin Hellendale Plant, and the Phillips Lab. At the Nellis Air Force Facility, so-called Area 51, no one calls it that. There's S4 and S12, Pahut Mesa, Groom Lake, and a number of sub-facilities. The most important facility is in Utah, near Provo, the Dugway Proving Grounds, all of which is underground, and the airspace above it is classified. There are no roads into this facility. The New Mexico facilities include Los Alamos National Labs with underground connectors to the so-called Dulce area where the biological work is being done, and Kirtland Air Force Base. And the complex there includes Sandia National Laboratories, Phillips Labs, Manzano Mountain Weapons Storage Facility, Coyote Canyon, and the White Sands Complex. In Arizona, near Fort Huachuca, which is Army Intelligence Headquarters, there is a UGB underground base where one of our witnesses who will testify worked on 9 separate extraterrestrial vehicles that had been down through advanced electromagnetic pulse weapons. And there are several different species of extraterrestrial biologicals stored at that facility. The other facilities, and this goes on, include a special compartmented area of Cheyenne Mountain, where we have witnesses in our team who can be subpoenaed, where we have tracked extraterrestrial vehicles in our solar system that were measuring 26 miles in diameter. There are also facilities in Australia, a key one being Pine Gap, the so-called Alice Springs facility, which is mostly a U.S. Air Force facility, even though it is in Australia. I recently talked to the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia about this. Also, the Redstone Arsenal and the Marshall Space Flight Center. We have a scientist at the Redstone Arsenal who works under contract for IT&T, who have developed these transdimensional systems. He was under contract with my project to bring these energy devices out And he was then threatened by a former CIA director and what I call the goon squad that went down there 3 years ago in March. This is just part of the information we have, and this information is on the flash drive given, then you're all welcome to review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Stephen Greer. So there's a bunch of stuff going on there, huh? All right. Shadow Bezra says Dmitry Daskalakis, the deputy coordinator of the White House National Monkey Hoo-Ha response, is deeply involved in satanic symbolism and practices. He ran an HIV and hepatitis screening clinic from Manhattan's S&M Club, Sadism Masochism Club, where men could pay to party unclothed. Yeah. I'm not even going to go into the images of that. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. I just want everybody to read it. I'm not going to talk about it. Hold on. How come? Why didn't that? Yeah, that's supposed to do that. There we go. So when you've read the top part, give me a 1 and I'll scroll down. Give me a 1, a thumbs up, something like that. Anything. Even if it's just a period. Okay. So let's go down to here. And I want you to read this part here. And these are, basically the things that are caused. These here are the things that are caused. But what they're calling one thing is actually another thing. So, you see it there? All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to lose a channel over it. By the way, Dave did do a podcast last night for those of you that missed it. He wasn't on either Facebook or YouTube, which I don't have a problem with because he started off talking about medical. He went pretty in depth into it. So if you want to go more into the MP, then just watch his podcast from last night, either on X or on Rumble. All right. Turning Point UK says mounted police out and about an hour before a planned protest against illegal migrants being housed in a local hotel in Aldershot. You never see mounted police at left-wing protests, which is true. So there they are, all mounted up over there. I let it go twice so everybody can see it. Yeah. All right, moving on. Kyle Becker says, breaking massive win for the Fourth Amendment. Judge Ho has ruled that the geofencing surveillance method used to track J6ers and other Americans is unconstitutional. So the federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals held its opinion that Geoforce warrants are unconstitutional. So All right, moving on. Evangelicals for Harris host has said whiteness is wicked. Police need to be destroyed and rebuilt. Yeah, we'll go into that one a little bit more here. Here's Bo London.
And Barron's friend. Let's meet that friend. Bo Loudon is a conservative Gen Z influencer, and Bo joins us now. Bo, simply put, how can Gen Z influencers like you make the youth vote an asset for the Trump campaign and not a liability?
Well, you know, I think we have the greatest opportunity we've ever had, because the support for Trump has just doubled in this election. And I think with all these influencers all public about their support for Trump, you know, the Elon Musk interview last night on Twitter, that was just massive, you know. And I think it pulled in 3 billion impressions roughly across the board. And, you know, and 77% of those were 34 or under. So, you know, there's just massive youth support coming out. And I'm more than happy to be a part of it. And I've helped bring in a few people like Aiden Ross and others. And I love doing it. I think, you know, we got to play their game a little bit, but sure, we're not paying these influencers to come out for support.
Yep. All right, here we go.
In the shadows of all of the fun and action in Coney Island, a heinous crime taking place near the boardwalk. Police say this man, David Devon Bonilla, a 24-year-old migrant from Nicaragua, attacked a homeless woman Sunday night. Sources say he choked the woman, held a knife to her throat, threatened to kill her, then sexually assaulted her. The entire time, his friend, Lavando Moreno, a migrant from Mexico, acted as a lookout, according to police.
A violent situation like that, it's totally unacceptable. Yeah, I mean, totally disrespectful.
Jerome Bosch is visiting Coney Island with a friend. Hearing about this makes him question everything.
It's dangerous out here, and for any woman to come out here and want to enjoy herself and feel unsafe, that ain't good.
It was around 9 p.m. The woman's boyfriend left her under the boardwalk to run a quick errand. When he returned, he saw the vicious attack on his girlfriend and tried to help. But police say Moreno attacked the boyfriend with a pipe. Bonilla has a history of sex crimes. Last year, police arrested him after he was accused of sexually assaulting a woman at a migrant shelter. He pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, spent a year on Rikers, and was released from jail in June.
I know everybody want to come and have a better life, but these migrants that's coming over here and that's putting out violence like this here, you know what I mean? Something definitely need to be done. So I don't know what the mayor doing or whoever doing or whoever, they're not doing the job. The job is not getting done.
Yep. Job is not getting done. All right. What are you doing, Keir Starmer? Oh, here we go.
What are you going to do?
4.
That's 4 kids now!
Okay. Javelin together.
What are you going to do, Keir Starmer? That's 4 fucking kids!
Well, 9.
Yep. All right. Amuse says it was a scam. Reagan. Ray Gunn, I should say. Ran Australians Olympic qualifier, created the rules, installed her husband as coach and judge. None of the nation's best breakdancers were able to compete in the qualifier. As a result, Dr. Rachel Gunn's decision not to cover travel expenses. And basically, they got a free Paris vacation out of it. Yeah. All right. Your right to remain silent.
Okay, a quick video about the law. If you are living in England or Australia or New Zealand or America or Canada or any of the Commonwealth countries, then you are under what's known as the Constitution or the Magna Carta. All laws are derivatives of the Magna Carta, going back to divine law, Canolonian law, and natural law. Now, hear me out. If you have some kind of interaction with the police, the courts, the council, the judges, all of these types of people, there's one thing that you need to know. You need to place yourself outside of maritime jurisdiction and place yourself back into physical land law jurisdiction. And the way you do this is by remaining silent. Now, we've all seen the movies where people say you have the right to remain silent. But if you ever contemplated, I know this works because I've done it dozens and dozens and dozens of times with all of the interactions with government officials, police, councils, courts, etc. Now, remaining silent. If somebody asks you a question, whether it's a policeman, someone in a courtroom, or a council, you can simply say, I would like to remain silent. If they continuously pressure you, say, do I have the right to remain silent? They will say, yes, of course you do. And then remain silent. Do not say your name and do not sign anything. With this simple technique, this is the most effortless way of getting out all of the situations. You can then go on to ask them questions, because your silence is only implied when they're asking you questions. It does not mean that you can ask them questions. So then just simply ask them questions like, can you please bring me the victim in this case? So if it's a parking fine or a speeding fine or some kind of bullshit fine that they've given you, there's no actual victim, so that there can be no fine. This is a really important thing when dealing with the law and the police. If there is no human victim, if there is nobody with an affidavit or a statement against you to say that you've caused them a loss, harm, or injury, whether you've defrauded them or stolen something from them, if there is no human victim, there is no crime. If there is no crime, there is no fine. If you do not speak your name, you are not entering yourself into their jurisdiction, and thus you are completely free. So if they are persuading you and trying to push you or coerce you into speaking, you simply have to remain silent all the time and just say, do I have the right to remain silent? Thank you very much. And you just hold your right to remain silent. You do not have to answer questions. You do not have to sign anything. I promise you, if you do this, all of those interactions you have with the police, courts, and councils will get less and less and less and less. And then all of a sudden, you'll be completely free of them. I hope this has helped. I tried to get as much information in 3 minutes as possible. Lots of luck to you.
All right, moving on. David Curtin.
Hello, everybody. Now, from the UK, I'm living in a land at the moment which has been changed over the last couple of weeks into something that I don't recognize. We have two-tier policing, we have two-tier justice, and everyone around the world is looking at the UK and saying, what on earth is going on in your country? I mean, this is the country that gave the world the Magna Carta, the English Bill of Rights, which is the foundation for every universal declaration of human rights that there is. The UN one, the EU one, the American Bill of Rights. It was founded on rights that we get from the English Bill of Rights in 1689. But that seems to have been completely taken over and undermined by this dreadful new police state Bolshevik style regime that we have under, who is come to be known as two-tier Kia, because we have two-tier policing and we have two-tier justice. And we already know, we've seen two-tier policing clearly on the streets, where police go softly on what they call counter protests and this emerging group called the Muslim Defense League. Now, that again is not to say the majority of Muslims are involved in that, because they're not, but there are a hardcore of people who are going out and harassing people on the streets, as well as the protests against the rise in violent crime, a lot of it associated with migrants, that happened after the murder of 3 English girls in Southport and the attempted murder of 8 more children and 2 adults, which happened there. So they're going hard on anyone who is protesting against rising migrant crime, violent crime in this country. Now, some people deserve to be taken up by the police who are involved in mindless looting and rioting, absolutely. But the vast majority of people going out on protests are peaceful and actually standing and looking on in horror as things get violent in some of the places. And the reason why there is a lot of violence, I think, and it's very clear to me, as I've said before, having been on all of the freedom rallies for 2 whole years, back in 2020 to 2022, is that there are agents in the crowd. There are accelerators and agitators in the crowd whose job it is to throw things at the police, to get trouble going, so that the media has pictures of violent clashes between so-called rioters and the police. And then you get unfortunate patsies caught up in the middle of it and actually start to get involved as well. Some of them are drunk, some of them are on drugs. But also, appallingly, you had over in Belfast someone put in prison because they were just standing and watching. And a judge said that if you're just standing and watching, you will be held on remand without police bail, just for being a non-participant, just in the vicinity watching what's going on, a curious onlooker, as the judge described him over there in Belfast. I mean, this is utterly repugnant, because you are supposed to, if you're in the law system, if you're a judge or if you're a prosecutor or a barrister or whatever, you are supposed to be finding the truth. And you are supposed to be convicting people who are guilty of real crimes, but people who are innocent should not be caught up and dragged through the system. But this is a repugnant statement by a judge, suggesting that even if you're innocent, you will be dragged through the system, denied bail, put through a court case. Probably, you know, you'll have it dropped in the end if you are innocent and you're just an innocent, curious bystander. But the process is the punishment in this case. And they're picking up completely innocent people and keeping them on remand in a remand prison or something for a few months. This is repugnant. This is Bolshevik, and it doesn't have any place in my country. And neither does the Starmer regime, which is doing it along with repugnant judges. Now, what is very, very disturbing over the last few days is that a number of people have been jailed, put in prison for long, long periods of time for putting posts on social media, when in the same period of time, there are pedophiles who have lots and lots of pictures. I'm not going to use the words to describe them because, I have to be careful with what I say here. But there are people who have got material, 2 cases, one in Ipswich, one in Cwmbran in Wales, you can look them up, where judges have acquitted people who have committed that crime. They're just free to go out and walk the streets again. Whereas people who have just written things on social media, whether they're fine or not fine, have been put in prison for a long time. I think the worst one of 3 cases or 4 cases that I've seen and that have had a lot of public attention was the case of Lee Joseph Dunn, who was jailed for 2 months, for 8 weeks, for putting up 3 memes on Facebook. And one of them was a picture of Asian men, and it said, "Coming to a town near you." Well, this is exactly what Angela Rayner, the deputy leader of the Labour Party and now in the Starmer regime, has said she's going to do. She's going to spread asylum seekers all around the country, and maybe empty the hotels, but place them in every district, every borough, all over the country, whether it's England, Wales, Scotland, or Northern Ireland. So he's just basically stating what the government policy is in a meme. I think obviously he's opposed to the government policy, as am I. The leader of the Heritage Party, registered with the Electoral Commission and standing 41 candidates in the last election. I am opposed to spreading asylum seekers around the country as well. Am I going to be arrested too? Who knows? They're making these kind of threats, and they're making the atmosphere in this country an atmosphere of fear, where people censor themselves and suppress themselves from legitimate comments about government policy. And writing memes, posting memes is a legitimate form of social commentary. So Lee Joseph Dunn, in my opinion, is a political prisoner of the Starmer regime. He shouldn't be in prison. And this judgment, in my opinion, is repugnant, which is a legal term, meaning that it is contradictory to our Bill of Rights and our fundamental freedoms. Now, there are a couple of other cases which have received a lot of attention. Now, in contrast to the one I've just mentioned, with these ones, I don't agree with what the people have written, and I would not post it myself. The most widely spoken about case here is that of Lucy Connolly, who is the wife of a Tory councillor in Northamptonshire, and she posted on X something, mass deportation now. Okay, well, that's a legitimate political position. But then what she went on to say is, set fire to all the bleep hotels full of bleep for all I care, and so on. You can see the full comment, on most social media platforms. Now, the thing is, she was being arrested and she's being held on remand until a date in September, where there will be a further hearing on the basis that this is stirring up racial hatred. Again, I don't think it is. I would not write something like this myself, and I wouldn't advise anyone to write anything like this anywhere. But she did. But the thing is, this is not incitement to violence, which is what the law should be. But because we have this concept of hate in law, first introduced, as I've said before, surprisingly by Margaret Thatcher in the 1986 Public Order Act, this has been deemed to be stirring up hatred, which is why she's been arrested and held on remand pending a trial and pending a charge. The thing is, she writes in it, "For all I care," is one of the things. Now, if she hadn't have put that, it probably would have been a clear statement to incite violence. But from what I'm seeing, it's not. It's just expressing an opinion, even though it's not an opinion that I think is helpful or good to express. But that's where it is. So my opinion here is that she shouldn't have been arrested. It's just speech, and the police should be out arresting real criminals who are doing real criminal damage, real violence, real assaults, real arson. Those are the people that the police should be going after, not people who are expressing opinions on social media, however distasteful they may be. The thing here is that another person from Northampton called Tyler Kay, and this has been in the papers a lot, it has been spoken about a lot, reposted that exact comment from Lucy Connolly, and he was arrested, apparently pleaded guilty straight away, and has already been given 38 months in prison. There's over 3 years in prison for a post on X. This is ridiculous when pedos are going free and when the Starmer regime itself is releasing violent criminals, including murderers and worse. Well, they can't be worse than a murderer, but people, obviously, I got to be careful with my language and how often I use words, but people who do appalling things to women, you know what I mean. Those kind of people are being released early. And they're being replaced by people who write things on social media. And this, again, I think is repugnant. And it is a clear example of two-tier justice, which is bringing in a Bolshevist system to this country, which we need to resist
struggling with
at
high
all
blood
costs,
sugar, do
because we
not
don't
drink
want to
cold
end
water.
up like
Did you know
Bolshevik Soviet Union that Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote about in the Gulag Archipelago, where people could be just picked up and they're given up to 10 years in prison, a tenor they called it. You know, people just summarily, you know, you're on the list, they make up some charge. You know, it could be something that they said, they accuse you of saying something which is against some new laws that they made up. You might have lent on Lenin's statue and been deemed to be subverting the state. You're picked up and you're in the Gulag for 10 years. Well, we're at the beginning stages of this in the UK. We have people who are saying things on social media with these new laws which have been brought in over the last 30, 40 years, especially under Blair and then the fake conservatives. We've got all these kind of laws. You know, it's not just the Public Order Act 1986 that started it off. There's the Race and Religious Hatred Act. There's the Communications Act, Section 127. There's the Police Crime Courts and Sentencing Act. There's a new Public Order Act. There's the Online Safety Act. All of these things are acting together to militate against free speech. And the regime seems to be going after people whose opinions they don't like, rather than and taking that more seriously and being more harsh to people for their opinions than actually people committing real crime. I mean, on the same day that Tyler Kay was put in prison for 38 months in the same court with the same judge, apparently someone called Amjad Ali, who was at a real riot, throwing a real missile at real police, was jailed for 14 months. So, you know, just over a year. So about, you know, approximately a third of the time for a real physical crime than for someone who puts a post on social media. Again, I say I don't agree with the post. I don't think you should write posts like this. But for someone to have 3 times as much prison time for a social media post as to someone who actually went out and actually threw something at another person, potentially injuring them, I mean, again, that's repugnant, and that's two-tiered justice. Another case which has been widely reported on is that of Jordan Parler from Leeds. Now, again, he said something I don't like. I don't agree with it. He says, you know, I'm not going to read out the post in full, but it's essentially saying that he's in favor of people smashing up a particular hotel in Leeds where there were asylum seekers staying. Again, I don't like that. I would say don't make things like that. Don't post things like that. But he got 20 months in prison for that. Again, why is someone getting 20 months for a post on Facebook when real people doing real crimes who hurt, you know, men, women, and children are walking free? It doesn't make any sense to any normal thinking person. But we need to understand we're now living in a Bolshevist, cultural Marxist regime, which is inverting everything and turning everything on its head. And it is very, very wicked. And it needs to be resisted peacefully and within the bounds of the law and the constitution we have, the English constitution based on the Bill of Rights of 1689, which was before the Act of Union in 1707, so that goes back to the time before the Union. That is a very important document that outlines our fundamental rights and freedoms, and we need to stand on those, and we need to stand on common law and our sovereignty as sovereign individual people against the tyranny of this Bolshevist communitarian state that is coming in. Now, I've seen a couple of very, very useful things over the course of today and yesterday, linking to certain documents which advise you what to do if you find yourself on the wrong side of the police state, if they come and arrest you either on a protest. Again, I've said before, Don't get involved in violent protests. If you're on a protest, a legitimate, peaceful protest, that's good and absolutely right that people protest against the tyranny and the changes, the repugnant changes coming to this country. But if anything happens, if there's any accelerators, agitators there, walk away. If the police come along, walk away. Just don't be a patsy, please. Protest, but don't be a patsy. Stay well away from any trouble. If you see anything flaring up, walk away immediately. Don't get involved in it. And then we can protest peacefully against these things. And that makes our case all the more stronger. But if you are, you can be arrested either on a protest or, the police come round to your home sometimes and question you and try to get you to incriminate yourself. And some of the very good advice people give, two fantastic bits of advice is don't say a word. So if the police come and they want to talk to you, then you say nothing. Don't say a word. The other very useful piece of advice, which is very similar to this, is to say no comment. So if you actually are arrested, you're taken to the police station, the two words to remember are no comment. Whatever they ask you, apart from your name and address, at the front desk, is no comment, no comment, no comment. Don't say anything, even if they're playing good cop, bad cop with you, even if they're offering you things, trying to manipulate you, whatever they're trying to get you to incriminate yourself. Because what I've sadly come to realize, is I was brought up to trust the system in this country, brought up to believe the British police, the British judiciary, the British system was the best and fairest in the world. But it isn't. And it's really, really sad to realize that through the experience of the last 4 years. And now we can see that playing out in even greater measure now than we did in the lockdown era. The police are not on your side. I hate to say that, because I do know some good police officers, some good police constables, but in general, they're not trying to find the truth. They're not trying to find who's guilty and who's innocent half the time. They're picking a target and they're trying to get you incriminated, because once they've arrested you, they want to convict you of something, because they want 100% conviction rate. So don't incriminate yourself. Just say nothing or say no comment. Do anything that they ask you, and then hopefully. That will make their life harder, and they won't be able to incriminate you if you're innocent, because so many times people have been incriminated when they're innocent. And I've spoken, this is a different issue entirely, but I've spoken many times about the case of Lucy Letby, and she spoke in the interviews, and they twisted some of her words, and they've twisted what she wrote down in her private diaries and put it together with all kinds of made-up circumstantial evidence to convict her terribly. And, I think she's a big victim of a miscarriage of justice. So you see what they've done to her. You see what they've done to the first person I mentioned on the social media arrest, Lee Joseph Dunn, just writing memes, getting put into prison, and others. So this regime is boasting that they've arrested 1,000 people connected with riots, which it's not right to call them that, because the vast majority of people were protesting. And as I said, there are real hooligans that were involved, who are deplorable, who just took advantage in order to go loot shops and get involved in some trouble. And there are government accelerators and agents making things worse. But so really the best way to describe these things are anti-mass immigration protests, anti-rising crime protests. And then you've got the counter protests, which are pro-mass immigration protests by cultural Marxists, who obviously have the favor of the state. So that's the right way to describe the two different groups that we're seeing. But obviously the regime we've got is clearly on one side, or rather they're controlling the counter demonstrations. I mean, this Stand Up to Racism organization is very, very much intimately linked with the Labour Party, as is this Hope Not Hate, Hate Not Hope, as it is more accurately called, that goes around accusing people of being far right all the time. I mean, they've done that to me. I've appeared in their State of Hate report for the last 3 years, which is absolutely completely ridiculous. But there you go. So this is where we are. This is where we are. And the thing is, they've arrested 1,000 people, so they say. But the thing is, there are millions of people who utterly disdain this regime. And from what I hear, more and more people are very, very unhappy. You know, I know people were very unhappy before the election with the fake conservatives, and that's absolutely right and understandable because they've wrecked this country slowly, maybe for 14 years, but it doesn't mean that it's not wrecked. But this Stalinist Bolshevik government that we got now is just accelerating the process. So I said before the election, the fake conservatives will destroy the country slowly. Labour will destroy the country quickly. And we can see the difference here. So we've got rid of one bad lot of apples. We've got the worst lot of apples here in the government, to use a phrase. Not that they're pleasant like apples. But they are ruining and destroying the country and the fabric of society and our freedom very quickly. And you can see that. But the thing is that on the converse of that, more people are very, very agitated, you know, inside about what's going on and very, very unhappy with the Bolshevik style regime that we have. And I don't think that people are going to put up with it for much longer, because you cannot treat the British people as some of us identify, others identify as English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish. I'm actually coming round more to the concept of identifying as English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish rather than British. Which is a very interesting thing that we could make a whole other video on that, but it's still something that is taking form in my mind, but that's a whole other thing. But it is the people of this land, the people of these islands are not going to put up with this anti-freedom Bolshevism for too much longer. They're not going to get away with this, and they're not going to be able to continue, because the spirit of freedom burns strong in the people of this land, and we will have our freedom.
Yeah, how about that? How about that? All right. Not going to go into that one. We already saw that one. Here's one for you.
Wow. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't be here subject to the PSPO. You can say what I can't stand here. No? Because I don't believe in standing here for any other purpose other than to be breach of the PSPO. But I'm not protesting. So what are you doing here? Well, I'm in my head. I might be saying some prayers. Is that okay? Yeah, you still can't be. It's still a breach. You've got no legitimate reason to be here other than that. So what happens if I stay here? You're going to still be breaching the PSPO. You'll be that by the council for it. You could be liable to prosecution. So it's up to you. Well, I really can't see, this place is closed today. It's closed at the moment. It doesn't matter. So I can't. It doesn't matter whether it's open or closed. It's still a breach of the PSPO, which you know. But I'm not protesting. I haven't said anything played out loud, or I haven't spoken to anyone going in or out of this place. It's quietly standing here. But you said that you're still quiet. I might be crying in my head. You can't do it. No. I can't cry in my head. It's still a breach because it's still breaching the PSPO. Okay. I'm not saying this. I think that's ridiculous. No, I'm not either. Yeah, you know the rules of it. Yeah, I don't think I've broken anything. So and we've had complaints as well about you being here yesterday as well. Okay. You were here yesterday. again that we're going to close. And you're here again today. Yeah. So that's a big breach. Yeah. Well, so I might have to leave. I am going to stay at the moment. I'm going to get some superstition.
Yeah, and you guys can't really hear it either. Sorry. But yeah, she's getting harassed from the police for all right. For praying. Here we go.
Oh, no. What are you doing? You do not. Hey. You do not. What are you doing? What? Hey. You do not take pictures of me. Look what you're doing. Right. Look what you're doing, kid. Yo, what? Oh, no. No. What are you doing? You do not. Hey. You do not.
Oh my God. A face only a mother can love. Oh boy. What the heck is happening in our world? All right.
Right now for the July Consumer Price Index, headline number coming in as expected, up 0.2%. Up 0.2% on headline number follows yet unrevised down 0.1. So we went from basically the weakest, the biggest negative month over month change, a positive in CPI since COVID 2020, and now we're at a level that we haven't seen really since April when we were up at 0.3. If you look at ex-food and energy, exactly as expected as well, up 0.2. The issue is, of course, it's following 0.1, which, just like the last number, was comping towards the first several months of COVID. Right now for the July,
basically saying America's going broke. Yeah. All right, here we go.
The man who ended up becoming First Minister of Scotland, Hamza Yusuf, is a very openly practicing Muslim and had himself photographed on his first day in office with a group of other Muslims doing the Islamic prayers in the First Minister's office, bending to Mecca. If Kate Forbes had become leader and promptly posted a photograph of her and some others taking Holy Communion, I think it would have been an uproar. So why would that have been the case, but no uproar for Hamza Yusuf doing the Islamic prayers in the office? Because we want everybody to have religious freedom except ourselves. We want to praise every tradition apart from our own. And we want to promote every belief system other than the one that got us here. That is madness. The man who ended up becoming First Minister of Scotland, Hamza Yusuf.
Yeah. One set of rules for thee and another for me. All right, here's President Trump's full interview with ABC yesterday.
Before we jump into the economy, I do want to know, this was considered an intimate policy discussion. Do you see yourself doing more of these types of events as compared to rallies?
Well, it's thousands of people in a beautiful place, and you had a lot of thousands of people outside. So we'll do a combination of both. This was really on the economy largely and crime. But we enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. It's very important.
The economy is the number one issue to voters, again, in a big way, especially that includes swing voters in very crucial swing states like North Carolina. They want specific economic policy promises. Specifically, what can you tell me what the average American household can save per month, per year under another Trump tax cut?
Well, they'll be per year, they'll be saving many thousands of dollars. We're going to bring energy prices down to a level that they haven't seen since 4 or 5 years ago. We were energy independent. We were going to soon be energy dominant. We'll have energy prices down. I believe we'll have them cut by 50% and even more. And that's going to bring everything else down, automatically bring everything else down. They destroyed this country with their energy policies. That's what originally created inflation. And then it just took over with groceries and everything else. It just became a horrible hornet's nest. But we'll be bringing energy down by 50, 60%. That's a lot. And with a year, maybe a year and a half at the most.
Kamala Harris could inherit what's called the middle and working class tax credit from the Biden administration. This is just a proposal that would save American families, according to that, $6,000 a year, or bring in $6,000 a year. That they would repeal your 2017 tax law to do that. How does that make you feel? And how does someone from Western North Carolina take all of that in?
Well, they'll be paying 3 and 4 times more taxes if they do. I got the largest tax cut that has been given, bigger than Reagan, bigger than anybody. and it expires fairly shortly into the next administration. If they cut that, if they don't do anything with it, if they don't extend it or do something with it, the people of North Carolina will pay 4 times more tax than they're paying right now. And I would say politically that would be a death bell for them. But they've done a horrible job. I don't think they understand what's happening. She's a radical left person from San Francisco. She's ruined San Francisco. She's ruined, as the attorney general, she really had a lot to do with the ruination of California. You see what's going on. Gavin Newsom, the governor, is a disaster, but I think she was maybe even more of a factor in hurting it. You take a look at San Francisco. 15 years ago, it was one of the best cities in the world, and today it's barely livable. And we're not going to let that happen to North Carolina. We're not going to let that happen to the rest of the country. We just won't let it happen.
One more on this. Kamala Harris says her day one promise, if elected, would be attacking price gouging in America to help with daily expenses. What is Donald Trump's day one promise?
Well, there's no such thing as her going out and doing that. What you want to do is create the incentive so that people can't cheat. They can't price gouge. And the way you do that is drill for oil and get everything down. And all of a sudden, people can't do that. They can now because there's such a scarcity of everything. You can price gouge. But when there is an abundance of everything from food to oil and gas, from energy of every kind, there'll be no price gouging. There won't be, because there won't be any way they could get any money for it.
You said just a short time ago, the economy in your mind may not be the biggest topic happening right now. Why did you say that, and what would you say it is?
Well, it seems to be the economy if you look at polls, but I also think it's the border. It's millions and millions of people coming into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions, and even insane asylums where they're closing up all over the world. Not just South America, sadly. It's all over the world. This is coming in from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. And also you have large numbers of terrorists coming in like we've never seen. We have more terrorists coming into our country now than we've ever had, ever in history. And this is a bad thing. We have thousands of terrorists coming into our country, some really bad ones. And this is not a good thing. They're going to have to get out. We're taking them out. We're deporting every one of them. We have to. We're taking out the criminals. Again, they come in from jails and they come in from mental institutions. And if you look at the countries from where they come, their crime rate is way down. And I'm looking at our cities. Migrant crime is through the roof, and it's violent crime with the knives and the guns. It's violent crime. And it's going to happen here, too. It's going to happen everywhere.
One more, and I want to ask how you're doing after what happened a month ago. Western North Carolina is filled with beautiful farms, strawberries, watermelons, Christmas tree farms. It is reliant on migrant workers. How do you balance strict border enforcement and make sure that these farmers are taken care of?
Well, we want a lot of people to come in. We just want them to come in through a legal system. We want to make sure they're not murderers. They're not drug dealers and all of the people that are pouring in right now. A big percentage of the people that are coming in right now are major criminals coming out of jail. They're not letting their best people come in. They're taking people out of jails. They're emptying their jails into our country. They're emptying all of this into our country. When you look at Venezuela, where their crime is down 72%, it was Caracas, all these cities where you couldn't walk across the street, and now they're becoming actually safe cities. And they're not finished. They're getting all of their people from jails. They're dumping them into our country. So I want, and I fully understand your question, I want people to come in, but they have to be checked. They have to be vetted. We have to make sure they're going to love our country.
Western North Carolina could be the key to winning the state of North Carolina. North Carolina could be the key to winning the entire election. What are your thoughts on winning? This is a state you won with under 50% of the vote in 2020. What are your thoughts on winning North Carolina?
Well, we won it pretty well and pretty easily twice. We won, if you look at the primaries, we won them very easily too. Sometimes you'll have a lot of people running, a lot of people in there, but we won them quite easily. I think I'm helped by Laura Trump, who's, as you know, born here, named her child Carolina. So, Carolina is a very cute child named after a certain place that we happen to be in right now. So I just think that we're going to do very well. I think I am helped by somebody that is a fantastic mother and wife to my son, Eric. And I think that gives me a big advantage. But they like me. They like my policies. They want to remain solvent. I mean, we're a country right now with us of common sense. We can be conservative. We are conservative, all of that. But we're really, more than anything else, we want to be, and we're the party of common sense. We want a wall. We want low taxes. We want a strong military. We want great things. And They don't have them anymore. What they're doing is unbelievable. They're destroying our country. And just like California has been destroyed, just look at California. People are leaving California. They're moving out of California. Just like San Francisco, where she was, is just absolutely a disaster. We're not going to let them do that to our country. We're a party of common sense.
Last question, Mr. President. 1 month ago, an attempted assassin tried to take your life. How are you feeling right now so the voters know? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it was a terrible thing. It was amazing. God was watching over me because it was a miracle. If I didn't turn a certain way at a certain time, it was, no chance. And it's very much a miracle. For those that don't believe in God, I think you'll start believing in God when you see that. A lot of people have actually felt that. It was a very terrible day. A lot was learned. We lost a great person in Corey. We have two other people that were very badly hurt, weren't really expected to live, and they are living, and they're going to be okay. They're going to be fine. Well, pretty fine, I think, in one case, and absolutely fine in the other. But it was a terrible day. To me, it was just a terrible moment. Obviously, from my standpoint, it was a very dangerous moment. But the way the crowd came together, when bullets are shot in a stadium, we had tremendous thousands and thousands of people there. You saw the people in the back, but there were thousands of people, and nobody ran. They say when a bullet goes off in the stadium atmosphere, everybody stampedes. They call it stampedes. And the bullets went off, a lot of them, 8 of them went off. And then you had the sniper, our Secret Service sniper, with one bullet, found him and shot him. There was a lot of bravery displayed. A lot of things happened, but they're going to have to learn something. And I'm sure they have. But it was an interesting moment. It was a terrible moment, I think, for our country. But in another way, we learned a lot. It was I think you learned a lot about God, if you want to know the truth. I really believe that, because it was an instant of a second that it had to be out of all the time that we're talking about. The one moment where I was in a certain position was just a fraction of a second. So I look up, I say, thank you, God.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Thank you very much.
All right. Again, welcome to Asheville.
All right. That was a complete interview. And here's a clip from a Democratic gathering yesterday.
How dare you!
So, what gets me is half the time they're not arresting them. The other half the time they are arresting them. Same thing with immigrants. Half the time they're not arresting them. Half the time they are. I'm wondering what the next step is going to be. I really am. Yeah, here we go.
An absolutely radical assault on freedom of expression is happening right now as we speak. Not in Russia, not in North Korea, not in China, but in the United Kingdom, in what people all over the world are calling maybe the most intense crackdown on free speech in modern Western civilization. This week, numerous people have been arrested by the government for posts or comments made on social media that the government is deeming to incite racial hatred, encourage imminent political violence, or just be classified as hate speech. Whatever that's supposed to be. Not me, by the way, making this video sitting inside of the United Kingdom. So several videos have absolutely broken the internet, going viral internationally after police officers have showed up in people's homes to seize their phones as evidence and put them in handcuffs for comments or posts made on Facebook, or judges sentencing people to years in prison for the same offenses. I can't even begin to preface this in any other way other than watch this.
Arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network. Under
What?
127 Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which later are in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being arrested.
You're going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
So you got to the police station.
Right.
You, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
I've got my keys. I got, no, that's about it, I think, keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of the Police and Evidence Act.
Right.
That's for dangerous items.
I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under some what information?
So
I'm going to be arrested for posting on
made
Facebook.
some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Well, hopefully not.
Absolutely insane, right? Perhaps the most notable case that's been gaining international attention is of one guy who made a post surrounding all of the intense protests that have been popping up across the UK in response to mass migration policies from the past few years. This man has been sentenced to 20 months in prison because of a singular post on social media. And for some very glossed over context, over the last several weeks, there have been massive protests popping up all over the UK and now Europe at large in response to mass migration policies and the rise of violent crime associated with them. This all really started heating up in the UK in the last few weeks after the fatal stabbing of 3 little girls in England at a Taylor Swift dance class that has absolutely shattered the hearts of Brits and everyone with a sane mind across the world. Hundreds of thousands of people have now taken to the streets to completely demand that the UK stop mass migration policies and that Brits gain the courage to stand up for British culture and Western civilization, as people from all over the world in the last several years have threatened to take over the UK with their own version of progressivism, if you know what I'm saying. So all of these protests start escalating and becoming actually violent, which, for the record, never okay, no matter what you are protesting or what side you are protesting on. And people start throwing things through the windows, they're creating destruction of property, and the hotel has to go on lockdown to protect the people who are living inside. One guy decides to take to Facebook and posts publicly that as many Brits as possible should show up to this hotel and join in on these protests to spur public outrage about what's happening with mass migration. Good idea for the post? No, probably not, and is theoretically inciting violence. But this one post on Facebook, monitored by what we now know to be a massive police force in the UK, combing through everything on social media to catch people for violating hate speech laws, caused this man to be sentenced to 20 months in prison, almost 2 years, due to what a judge deemed to be inciting imminent violence and stirring up intentional racial hatred.
Between the two attacks, you took to social media in order to encourage others towards participation in the attacks upon the hotel. As is recognized on your behalf, this offense is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. You will serve up to 1/2 of your sentence in custody before you are released on license. If you fail to abide by the conditions of your license, you can be returned to prison to serve some or all of the remainder of the custodial term. The victim surcharge will apply, and I will make a collection order.
Was this post the best idea? No, probably not. But here's the real kicker. Over the last year, actual violent crime has been encouraged by the UK judicial system to receive no prison time or dramatically reduced sentencing because the prisons are too full. Literally last October, the senior presiding judge for England and Wales told judges all over the country to delay sentencing or create reduced sentencing or just not sentence at all actual violent criminals, including rapists and burglars, because the UK has experienced such dramatic overcrowding of their prisons. So naturally, this dichotomy is getting noticed by people all over the world who are now comparing the sentencing of one guy over a social media post to 20 months in prison to actual violent criminals walking free all over the country. Within the same week as this social media sentencing, some other person in the United Kingdom was given only 6 months in prison after killing a British teenager with a machete. 6 months. Seriously. And 10 years ago, one man in the UK avoided prison time completely after intentionally grooming and having sex with a 13-year-old girl as an adult because he claimed his Muslim culture and education made him entirely ignorant to British law and cultural customs, letting people know it was illegal to have sex with a minor. Yeah. So I guess the only crime that you'll be jailed for with a serious offense is if you criticize the government and their policies of mass migration, if you attempt to defend Western culture from those intentionally attempting to overhaul it entirely, to speak out against the fatal stabbing of 3 little girls and the massive rise in violent crime that's taking place all over the UK in the last few years, totally not connected to mass migration, by the way, or claim that the UK itself has a beautiful historic culture that's worthy of protection against whatever we're trying to call this new brand of progressivism. Right to jail, right away for you. This is what progressivism in its natural evolution looks like. And make no mistake about it, this is the direct result of the left's very intentional attempts to replace Western culture entirely over the past several decades, to replace Western culture with radical totalitarianism. And if you think this is going to stay isolated to a handful of people making arguably questionable posts on social media, which, yes, may be inappropriate in regards to specific protests, think again. The UK government has already admitted to hiring massive numbers of people in the police force to specifically comb through social media posts and comments to catch you on hate speech. They will come for criticism of the government next. They will come for your faith next. They will come for your opinions on education or taxation or self-defense next. To any Brit who happens to be watching this video, first of all, are you guys okay? But beyond that, take it from an American. Take it from the United States, where our freedom of expression, protected by our Constitution in the very First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, is also under attack. It is time today, yesterday, if we're being honest, to demand freedom of speech, to demand true freedom of expression before you lose the opportunity to entirely, as it's being radically seized from you by your authoritarian government today. In the UK for the next several days. Do we think I'll get in trouble for this video?
Oh, I wonder if she made it out of there okay. All right, this is going to be the last one for today.
I'm a 43-year-old black man. I make less than $100,000 a year. I'm not a Democrat. Now, I know. As a black person, I'm obligated to have blind loyalty to the Democratic Party because that was my mama's baby mamas said we should do. But I'll be honest, man, I'm not a Democrat. I've really never been a Democrat. I did vote for Obama twice. But that was a whole black thing. That wasn't about no political affiliation. That was just an opportunity to, I thought we was going to be free, just like everybody else. But I don't really make enough money to be a Republican. But I'm explaining to you why I fuck with the Republicans, hence me being Trump adjacent. Democrats are not pro-black family. Republicans are pro-black family. And I'm going to explain why. Democrats are pro-welfare and social assistance, which in my opinion is the reason black families are on a decline. Welfare and social assistance are why we have so many strong black women who don't need a man, raising children exclusively without a father, and we have so many emotionally distraught adults who don't know how to lead, don't know how to resolve conflict, because they've been raised in situations with absolutely no balance, and they're really not fit to be productive members of society. Republicans, on the other hand, are pro-black family. And the reason I say that is because, for the most part, they're anti-welfare. Anti-welfare means figure it out on your own, black people. And as scary as that sounds, that's how shit gets done. Because if we didn't have welfare, I promise you we would have more married black families. I promise you. If we didn't have welfare, we would have men and women resolving conflict, doing what they have to do to keep a roof over their children's heads, to sustain livelihood. Walking away from each other wouldn't be an option because survival would be paramount. Now, I'm not going to get on to all the other tangents that y'all going to come with, but the reality is that black people have spent an eternity hoping white people fix their issues in America. Republicans want no parts of that shit. Republicans is like, hey, let's fix the economy. Hey, black man, go get you some skills. Go get you a job. Take care of your black family. We don't care if you get you a six-figure job, black man. Pay your black taxes. Take care of your black family. It's a win for America. Democrats are like, no. Let's just separate the black man and the black woman, put them on housing, welfare, all of that, so we can continue to manipulate them into whatever agenda we see fit. So this is why I am not a Democrat. This video getting a little long, man. I know y'all gonna be talking in the comments anyway. So we will reevaluate this later. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And remember, man, I'm not pro-Trump, but I am Trump adjacent.
Yep. Trump adjacent. It's kind of not a bad place to be, right? Yep. You know, one other thing I wanted to mention was CBN News announced amazing Mideast Jesus Revolution. Tens of thousands of mosques close as 1 million Iranian Muslims accept Jesus Christ. Tell me that God is not moving in this world without telling me that God is not moving in this world. You know, you can't, you know. All right. I've got things I got to get done outside today. And I want to do it while it's slightly cooler out. You guys have an awesome day. Remember, our Creator loves you and is watching out for you. And his love goes so far as the love of his son, Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ. That's right. And by the way, I love you too. All right. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Peace.